So my initial idea would be that the characters would finish in a sort of playful position. So I thought they could be in a sort of spiral. So this is the possum and this is the magpie. And I could make a motion where they were like embracing each other. So to figure out some sort of pivoting mechanism, I started with something basic. This one on the left is a very basic pop-up where this section is the same length as this section. And if on top of these you add a diagonal bend, this is what happens. So you get this surface, and so if you take that surface and glue something to it, you get these interesting kind of circular motion. If you place it on the center, so if you put one on the left, one on the right, and one on the left, you get this sort of opening motion. So I thought this would be the initial part of my pivot. So the way I started prototyping it was something like this. The difference here, this one is centered, but this one is offset. So this section is longer than this section. You can see it like that. So that is longer. And then here I started playing with altering, making a different angle, and you get a sort of more radical shifting or like unfolding. Then the next iteration was similar, but here I was trying to see how much area could I get away with. And turns out I can fold this entire thing into that section, which I found very impressive. And here I started working it out to keep it even. So I chose two offset ones. So this is shorter than that. And then this is like rotated here. And here I started seeing how I could organize those characters. This is the same mechanism, just smaller on this side. And when I saw these, I kind of sketched out the idea I had for how the characters would be placed. I thought I could place the characters like these, so they would be sort of playing together, and the magpie would be upside down, like in those videos I saw. So my next step was to figure out how to turn these into the characters, and here is my first attempt. The possum ended up here, and then I was trying to figure out something with the tail, where like the tail will be on that side, and then the tail of the bird would kind of catch in there, which sounded like a good idea. This looks weird because I was like gluing it and taking it apart to figure out how far could I get with it. And so once I had this prototype, I decided to move on to a digital version. And this was my first attempt, which worked out okay, but I wasn't super happy about the tail. I ended up gluing the tail down because initially I wanted the bird's tail to go inside, but it was catching really bad. So I didn't really like how the tail interrupted the motion. So for the next version, I was trying to work out the tail now sticking out this way. And the downside of that is that the tail needs to fold over here. So it needs to like tuck under. So I couldn't get the tail as long as I wanted. My solution was to wrap it around. And I think it looks right. I think that the gesture works. So with this version, I was trying to finish it, but then I realized that closing this area wasn't the best idea, and I had to work out a little bit the positioning because otherwise I would get them overlapping like that. And so that's what happened with the final version. I worked out the motion a little better. I made the bird a tiny bit smaller to match the size, and then there is a little cutout here. So when the fold happens, you can see how the arm kind of tucks in. That is the final version of that spread. Thank you for watching.